Hello, in this video we're going to be finding the surface area of 3 different cylinders. A cylinder is a 3-dimensional object, like this can of refried beans here, that has a circular base on both sides, and then it has a rectangular surface that makes the sides of the can that are the label. So I'm going to draw that out. Like this. So to find the surface area, what we're talking about is how much metal would you need in order to build this can. So I'm going to need a few different pieces of information to figure that out. First thing is I need to know how big the circles are that make up the top and the bottom. So I've got 2 circles. And then I'm going to need to figure out how big is the piece of metal, a rectangular piece of metal, that would be wrapping around to make the sides of the can. So once I figured out the area of the 2 circles, the top and the bottom, and that one rectangle, which is the sides that's wrapped around, the total would be the surface area. So I'm going to start with the circles. So to find the area of a circle, you need to know 2 different things. One is the formula for finding the area of a circle, which is pi times r squared. Within this formula, it calls for the radius, which means I've got to figure out what's the radius. So this can isn't labeled with dimensions, so I'm going to have to actually measure that. Let's use centimeters. Okay, so straight across the middle there is 7.3. So this particular can of refried beans has a radius, oh, that was the diameter, 7.3. So to get the radius from the diameter, I'm going to need to divide that diameter by 2. So 3.65. All right, so using the formula that we've got here, the area of the circles that make up the top and the bottom, one of those circles will be pi times 3.65 times 3.65. I'm going to use the pi button just for precision. I could use 3.14. So that's 41.85 centimeters squared. That's one of the circles, one of the either the top or the bottom of the can. So the next piece of information that I need is the area of that rectangle. And I am going to actually remove this label here so you can see that it is a rectangle, in fact. Maybe. Okay, so when I unroll that label, it's a rectangle. It's a little shredded here from where I tore it, but you can see that. All right, so how do we find the dimensions of that rectangle? Well, the area of a rectangle is found using the length times the width. Now in this case, the width of this rectangle is the height of the can. So I can measure that on the label here. It's about 10.5 centimeters. And then the length of this rectangular shape, I'm not going to use my ruler to measure this because I've kind of chopped it up a little bit with taking the label off. So instead I'm going to use a calculation. The circle that makes up the top of the can is also the length of my label, which makes up the sides of the can. See that? So if I can use the formula that I know to find the distance around the circle, I will be finding the length of that rectangle. So the distance around a circle is found using pi times diameter. The diameter was 7.3. So pi times 7.3. I'll use a little extra times here. $22.93. So that means that if I were to measure the length of this, it should be about 23 centimeters. With my tearing job that I've done here. Yep, it is. It's 23. Okay, so 10.5 times 22.93 is 240.80. This is centimeters squared as well. So now to find the total area, I'm going to need to add 2 of the circles. So 2 of these 41.85 numbers and that one big rectangle. So we're going to go 2 of the 41.85s and 1 of the rectangle that makes up the side of the can. $324.5. And this is still an area, so it's centimeters squared. That is how you find the area, surface area of a cylinder.